Morning.
Nice of you to visit us on this rainy day. Aren't the leaves beautiful at this time of year? They always were lovely here in Plainville for as long as I can remember. And I can remember way back to the early 1850s. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm Belle Atcherson, born in Armstrong in Jefferson, Wisconsin in 1848.
And I am Oscar Atcherson. I can remember the 1850s, too.
Yes, you can, husband mine, but you Atchersons didn't come to Del Prairie until 1858. We Armstrongs came in 1850. We were genuine firsters in these parts.
Yeah, but we caught up and stayed. I grew up on our family's farm, 90 acres between the section line and the river, due west of here.
We Armstrongs lived in town, Plainville that is. My pa, Charles Armstrong, wasn't as much a farmer as he was a mechanic. Liked to build things. When Mr. Edson built his mill on the creek, Pa used some of the power to run saws and, what do you call them?
Lathes.
Oh yes, lathes, to make chair legs and backs. I remember how the Indians used to stand in the doorway and watch the wheels turn. They could make beautiful baskets from the wood they split out of ash timber with axes and wedges, so they knew how to work wood, but machinery was a marvel to them.
Yes, your pa could make chairs, but selling them was hard. He didn't stay in the chair business very long.
Then he partnered up with Mr. Williams to make tubs and pails. Ma and I and just about every woman hereabouts washed clothes and bathed children in one of their tubs.
I used to water our stock with their pails. They were the fine pieces of work, but they couldn't compete with the factory pails we could buy in Kilbourne. They weighed less to carry, and they cost less, too.
Yes, folks just don't appreciate a fine item made by a neighbor. All they thought of was the price and didn't care if it was made in some far-off place.
Well, we farmers had to make a go of it, too. If we could save a penny on a pail, we'd do it.
And you always were a good provider, Oscar. You always took good care of me and our girl Maud.
I did what a man was supposed to do, support his family. If we would have had more than one child, I'd have taken care of them, too.
You always were a brick of a man. You were like that as a boy, too, back when we went to the Plainville school together.
You were 10 years old when I started here, ahead of me. I was only 5.
Oh, yes, I was one of the first scholars at our school, back when Mr. Edson and Mr. Hatch got it started. I believe it was 1851. They said it was the first school in Adams County, though I've since heard there's some folks over in the town of Jackson who make the same claim.
It was a nice schoolhouse, made of lumber from Edson's mill, with a door that kept tight and kept the wind out, and 6 windows to let the sun in. It made it easy to do our lessons.
The first teacher I remember was Miss Grace Smith. She came all the way up from Baraboo and boarded around. Plump gal with a beautiful voice, sang her heart out. Ma said she could hear Miss Smith singing from our house a half-mile away.
Plainville was a quiet place.
Yes, it was, but it could be exciting sometimes. You weren't in school yet when we all got the itches, were you?
No, that was before my time. You had to be a firster to get it.
Oh, we did. Don't know what it was and where it came from, but one term, all of us kids, and there were about 20 of us, started itching. We couldn't stop even though we got scrubbed down with lye soap and rubbed with camphor. Ma even asked the Indians for help. They told her to rub me down with cattail root, but she was afraid to try it, so I kept itching. Plainville got a reputation as the itching school, and if one of us went into Kilbourne on market day, mothers would keep their children away from us so they wouldn't get the itch. It didn't quit until the school term ended, and we stayed home. We were afraid it would start up again when we came back, but it didn't.
Maybe you just itched it away.
Maybe.
We were in school together and we knew each other afterwards, but it was a long time before we started thinking about becoming a couple.
Not so long for me, but you stayed out on the farm and couldn't trouble yourself to walk the half-mile into town to stop and visit.
Nah, there was a lot to do. I was the only son and I had to do everything a farmer and a hired hand would do.
I was helping my folks at the inn that Ma and Pa opened after the pail shop closed. We had a big house and we served meals to travelers riding the stagecoach from Kilbourne to Quincy, White Creek, and Friendship. Rented rooms overnight too, mainly to drummers selling seed, farm equipment, and household goods. My favorite was the sewing machine drum. He set the machine up in Ma's parlor and pumped so hard you couldn't see the needle going up and down. He could sew a seam faster than I could see it.
That was progress. Like the horse-drawn reaper we used to harvest our wheat.
But eventually we got together.
It was the 1870s.
I was passing through my 20s and looking at being 30 years old. I dreaded the day that I knew was coming when folks would start calling me Old Maid Armstrong.
You didn't look old to me.
You didn't see many girls to compare with on the farm. I was 28 on our wedding day, July 3rd, 1876.
One day before the 100th birthday of the United States.
We had a double celebration, the biggest Plainville ever saw.
So it was.
Then our little Lottie came.
The only one we had. She was our treasure.
She grew up to be a fine woman, married William Manus. They lie over their ways.
Our family was small, but we were rich in what we had.
We stayed together for 38 years until I passed on in 1914.
I lived until 1933, 83 years. I wasn't one of the firsters in Plainville, but I married one, and we came out all right.
Yes, we did. Goodbye now. If you invite us back, we'll come again.
Thank you.